Hi, everybody. Welcome to a Thursday afternoon keynote session. Sorry for being late, but I appreciate everybody, the patience there. Good to see you, Pockets, and Nancy. Welcome. I also asked Brandy to join me today.
Hello,
And there's
everyone.
Christine. Yeah, hi there. So for the last couple of weeks, we've been using our keynote session to look at each of the planets. And so we've been taking one or two a week, and we've made it through Mercury. Um, Couple of highlights from last week I was sharing. What I like to do is share a few astronomical aspects about each planet. They all have very fun, interesting, different astronomical tidbits, if you will, and they really kind of speak to the mythology of the planet. Then I like to look at the actual mythology that we can see what the stories are of these planets from across our different cultures and history of mankind. And then take all that information and sort of this vibrational quality that we can get and go into our body graphs and look at the actual gate and line that these planets are in. They really represent a frequency. And I think it's a really important aspect of human design. For the longest time, I only was working with the one word keynotes that Ra gave, and they're awesome. They're totally true, I think. I mean, they are very well represent these planets in one word, but there's so much more to these planets. And they are the actual imprinting agent, right? I mean, this is actually what is turning on the codons at our time of birth and infusing that architecture with the frequency of the planet. And so that's kind of the idea of our discussion here. I do want to emphasize, I really want this to be a discussion. I know when I do my transit reports, I kind of just get on a roll and run through the whole week. But as we go through this, if you have questions or comments, please join us. And we'll just go through the slides here for a few minutes, and then like I said, we'll jump into your charts and see what we can find. How's that sound?
That sounds beautiful.
Right. Would you like to? I was kind of on a roll doing my
That
thing
was a
again.
beautiful role. No, keep going. It is perfect. I will jump in. I have that story that I learned today that I shared with you that I'd love to share while I'm here.
Please.
We don't have to do it now. We can do it whenever you feel like the timing is right.
All right. Well,
But
you help me out. You help guide
okay,
us in that process.
I will. I will.
So the first thing to note that I have on this slide is that it is a 224-day cycle. Venus is actually called the sister planet of Earth. It's very similar in terms of, I guess, how astronomers describe planetary bodies. It's called a terrestrial planet, fairly similar in size, and you can see the orbit is what? That's about two-thirds um, our speed, or that much faster in terms of. And we have a cool slide to show about that as well.
And maybe
Mm-hmm.
this might be the right time to tell that story because it
Yeah.
is at the beginning of all three of these different angles in which to look at this planet. And so in today, knowing that I might add to this flavor today, I wanted to really learn a little bit more about different ways of looking at Venus. And so I went down the scientific and historic arm, and I found that there are stories or there are theories that the creation of Venus was from Saturn. And there is a story that Venus was created from the foam of the sea when Kronos was castrated by Uranus, or the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
And so then birthed Venus, which then when a planet is ejected from another celestial body, it's a comet. And so she was a comet for a while,
Mm-hmm.
10,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so the story of her, so her cometing to 10,000 years ago and everyone being able to see that and her being the wanderer, she didn't have this orbit until, I'm not exactly sure when the date was, but she didn't have this 224, is that right?
Correct.
224 year orbit, but she did
24 yeah.
day.
Days to go around the sun.
She did spin backwards though,
Right.
when she came out of
It
Saturn,
was
is what the
released like
theory is. Yeah.
kind of like a bowling ball idea.
Yeah. And so what I thought was fascinating about that when combined with the Egyptian theories and studies of Mesopotamia, when they talk about the way that it must have looked when Venus and Mars and the sun were all together like that, it was a wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And so what this theory was proposing was that maybe that was the first archetypal expression of the wheel that then we used to move our species in evolution. And so I thought that, and then the Greeks talked about Aphrodite as the sister of Venus, or what would you call that?
Well, they're corollaries between Greek
Corollaries.
mythology and
Yes,
Roman. The
and
Romans
Romans.
adopted a lot of the Greek mythology
Right, right.
previous to them.
And
So the
so,
correlation was Aphrodite from the Greeks
right.
and Venus from the Romans.
Right. And the idea of passion and war and fire, because she was on fire and she still is, as you're going to talk about, she's still on fire
Mhm.
in a very passionate type way. And so I wore my Roman coin today with Venus on it
How beautiful.
in honor of that. But I just thought that it was a really cool coming together of all three of those modalities. And then you're about to dive even deeper into all of that.
Yes, and
Oh my goodness, it's all right there.
well, that we didn't have our slides. We weren't. We're getting there. We're working on
Sorry.
this, and then you guys are getting our
So
session
sorry.
that we're working on.
Yeah.
Because we're actually going to add some photos from what she's speaking about, because the ancients were watching this happen. A comet broke off of the planet Saturn and flying through the universe, was spinning strangely, and it was moving to where it is today, essentially. And while that happened over the centuries that took, the ancients were watching this in the sky. And so a lot of the mythology over the centuries, this is how we get some of the different stories. Um, Here is just mentioning a few places. I mean, basically every culture that's ever existed has Venus as part of their mythology. She's this third brightest thing in the sky. And we all often think of her as love, beauty, harmony, pleasure, and she absolutely is. But there's also, she was, well, vengeful in a sense, just like all planets, she had a frequency. And just like the lines have a frequency, the planets have a frequency. And in the Mayan culture, she was the god of war. And they believe she beamed down evil rays, bringing death and destruction. And they actually did their sacrifices based on her rising and setting and all that. So she's sometimes parts of the year, the morning star, other times of the year, the evening star. But I'm sure we can all agree she is absolutely one of the most beautiful, precious things in the sky. It's kind of like looking at the moon.
Yeah.
It just will stop you in your tracks and you're like, wow. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. She's
so
beautiful.
magnificent beauty. And a few other interesting astronomical facts about her. She's extremely hot, like almost 900 degrees. And uh, the reason she's so bright is because of the greenhouse effect. Because she's so hot, and there's the clouds she has are made up of sulfuric acid, solid sulfur, nitrosulfuric acid, and phosphoric acid. So it creates like a greenhouse, and so that clear white silver brightness is actually the sun reflecting off of this cloud cover from her surface. Very active, lots of volcanoes. I think about 188 active volcanoes. As Brandy mentioned, she also spins in the opposite direction of the Earth, so a little unusual in that sense. And 90 times the atmospheric pressure. And I think just the heat and the steam and the pressure sounds like love to me. And
Yeah.
that is one element of Venus. Um, Fiery hot for love and fiery cold for love, but
Yeah.
certainly holds that place in our mythology. And yeah, there were some cool pictures when they were watching this comet before she settled as a planet where she is. At times, she had this very serene appearance in the sky, just like she does now, very beautiful and still and calming by watching it. But at other times, based on its interaction with the universe, it was like this dragon and
Yeah.
fiery flames shooting out. And so she, over these centuries that this took on very different images in the sky. And that's
Yeah.
why many of the rock, or how would you say it, cave dwellings even,
Yeah.
and some of the structures that they have photographed show Venus in this very
The
dynamic manner. Yeah,
seven-headed
Medusa
dragon and
comes from
Medusa
Venus.
as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
said at one point she appeared to have 7 heads like a dragon.
Well, they say that mythology is because she was a wanderer. They called it the wanderer, and so the story of Isis and Aphrodite, and it was the hair. That the hair is the
Mhm.
correlation to the comet,
Right.
and that a woman when she is mourning, like the morning star of Venus, but mourning,
Mhm.
morning, that her hair is said to be all So that's when she changes into the other expression or
Mhm,
archetype, the
mhm,
Venus, which really denotes the whole spectrum of femininity as
mhm,
well.
mhm,
Um, the dark and chaotic ragefulness
mhm.
and the serene beauty of it all.
Yeah, beautiful.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And also thinking of Venus and Mercury as our personal planets,
Mhm.
right? And they're in between us and this life-giving energy of the sun. So
Right.
there's this real deep personal connection, and certainly the mythology also carries that out. But the most reoccurring thing is just this stark beauty of awestruck in that sense.
Yeah.
And I when I'm looking at a chart and just thinking of the short keynoting, it really does to me. I often just say, Venus is what we want.
Hmm.
This is the harmony, the love, the beauty. As as human beings, we all can appreciate that.
Right.
Some are more focused on it than others, but it's just part of our archetype, and
Yeah.
we can look at the placement of her in an astrological chart as well as the body graph,
Hmm.
and uncover a lot about that part of ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can also see where what we want can sometimes go against the grain of what's around us and how that can be what our passion is. Just like Venus going in the other direction and as slow as possible. But this was the orbit after she wandered for so long as a comet that she chose,
Mhm.
even though it was in the opposite direction of everything around her.
Right.
This was her passion.
Yeah, very, very nice drawing that together. And also the fact that in a wheel, whether it's an astrological wheel or a rave mandala, Venus is never more than 60 degrees away from the sun.
Mm.
Just like last week we talked about Mercury, Mercury is always in the same sign as the sun before or the sun after. Venus can actually get two signs away, but
Hmm.
no more than that. Speaking
Hmm.
to, I think, this idea of how this personal planets are here to support the life force energy of our sun. And
Absolutely.
we'll do that with our charts. We'll look at the gate and the line they're in,
Hmm.
and just kind of play with this. This is nothing more to stimulate your own imagination
Yeah.
and creativity into seeing what you can find in your own chart. But that idea that where we have our Venus placement, it's speaking to our passion, we could
Mhm,
say, what
mhm,
we want, what we desire, the beauty
mhm,
and harmony of life itself. I
mhm.
think channel of inspiration here,
Yeah,
something
yeah.
deep, inner core, creative and beautiful. And how is that supporting the sun's placement?
Right,
Right.
right. I think of this like my council, like I'm the queen in my council,
Mm,
and my son is my queen. But Venus is my wise and beautiful counsel that comes and tells me the highest ideal that it all could be, and how wonderful and even almost Dionysus like it could be, just intoxicating, and fills us with that part, and then the council, the other part of the council comes and is logic about what could really happen. But Venus is that part, and it's part of my entourage, and she's always there, and I'm always
your
listening to
consort,
hear.
yeah.
Yeah, 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 exactly. So I imagine, and my Venus is in 21. And
Mhm,
so she is a warrior, and she knows what to fight for, and
mhm,
she is sensual, and she is powerful, and she is fire, and she is ice, and all of the things that you've mentioned.
mhm,
Um, and she has a spectrum, of
mhm,
valor and control.
mhm.
And she plays within there, depending on what the kingdom needs.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautifully shared. Beautifully shared. And speaking on that, let's add a few more um,
Mm.
things about Venus. Let's see if we can get over here so we can see this too. Just quickly on the anatomy, unless anyone else wants to share or has any comments about this, because a lot can be said. I haven't spent a lot of time looking into the physical anatomy with Venus, but here the throat, the cheeks, the kidneys, reproductive organs obviously seems to make sense. Again, the love, beauty, pleasure, and the tarot card, the Empress, and the metal is copper. And
Hmm.
you might, I'm not sure if I remember the story where there's a it's funny in Greek mythology when you read about all this stuff. There's usually a few different variations, and you're always trying to figure out which.
What
Yeah,
I think I remember is that she was the consort to Mercury and Mars.
right.
So I think that the red hair had something to do with annotating her connection to Mars, because that's who she was longing for in the wandering,
Mm-hmm.
because she was with the person that she was with. Maybe it wasn't Mercury, maybe it was somebody. Oh no, she is with Mercury, because they all travel
Mm-hmm.
together. But it was like she was supposed to had to be with Mercury but mourned Mars, and so the red hair was part of that.
She wanted them all, and they all wanted
Yeah,
her.
yeah.
They all wanted her. That's for sure. When we looked at the dignities of Venus, domicile, we say she is home in the signs of Taurus and Libra.
Mhm,
Taurus is fixed earth, so we're thinking very stable,
mhm,
solidity, strength, sensuality, very
mhm,
physical. Venus is very physically oriented
mhm,
in the sign of Taurus. Security, anything that has to do with resources. Um, so that is a very. I just want to again the difference. She's also rules Libra as well,
mhm.
right? So, but a very different feel in Libra. And Libra is cardinal air. So we're Librans are fast, get things going. Librans are very much about balance and harmony, and so that's really where we get the harmony aspect of Venus. Still very sensual and beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Librans love art as well
Mhm,
as the eye. Librans typically have a very good eye for things. So the beauty certainly is still there. I think the physical sensuality can be an element, but that really resides in the Taurus
mhm.
sign.
I'm giggling because guys, we didn't do this on purpose. We didn't plan both of us to be here, but this is the domicile of both of our sun signs. I'm a Taurus and he's a Libra. So I'm giggling as he says these things and as we sit here
I should let
today.
you talk about Taurus, obviously.
I'm just like, oh, listen.
Sorry, I just
No, no, it
go
was
ahead.
beautiful. I didn't realize that until now. You did a beautiful job.
Good, good. Did you want to say some more about Venus and Taurus?
No, I think that you said it beautifully. I mean, I think it is about sensuality and we say sensuality, it's not just the sexual orientation of that, but using all of the senses
Hmm.
and the senses being a deep connection to the things around you. So not just like um what I hear, but the layers of what I hear, not just what I feel, but how my skin feels against it, how it feels against my
Right.
skin. Like just using all of the
Yeah,
senses
good
to
point. A depth of senses,
Mhm,
like the difference
mhm.
between feeling artificial turf under your feet and actual wild grass.
Right,
Venus
right,
is going to understand that texture
right,
of this, of that, where it comes from, what's underneath it.
right.
Strong connection to the earth.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's going to be that Venusian quality. And then Libra comes in and brings yeah, I understand you want you don't want the turf, you want the real grass, but we don't have sun or whatever the limitation may be. Libra is going to bring it in and bring what Libra can bring to satisfy the situation
Mhm.
that may not be the Venusian, velvet of it all, but
Right.
will be the happy medium of it
Yeah.
all. And
Yeah.
so it kind of brings it down. Libra, I believe, brings Taurus down to earth a little bit
Hmm.
deeper,
Hmm.
even.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And let's talk about, so if those are the home signs for Venus, then we can look at the detriment. And detriment is always going to be the polarity, the opposite sign. So from Taurus, the opposite sign is Scorpio,
Mm-hmm.
fixed water.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an intensity in Scorpio that I love. I don't have Scorpio myself, but I think it's an incredible sign. It's ruled by Mars and Pluto,
Mm-hmm.
which alludes to its intensity.
Mm-hmm.
It often represents bringing up hidden truths, which would
Mm-hmm.
be the Pluto side, and the fiery passion, which is the Mars side, but it's just a real deep intensity to Scorpio.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Venus can feel a little, it's a little too hot, I think, for Venus. Venus is so soft and
Yeah.
sensual. And when we say detriment, again, please understand that never means negative. It just means the planet has its polarity to the solidity, solidness of Taurus,
Yeah.
and we need something to balance
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So when I think of planets in detriment, of which I have a couple, it means that we need to understand that planet. I often think of it very much like a detriment line
Right.
in the sense that it's just an aspect. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, none of this is personal anyway. At least it shouldn't be as
Yeah.
passengers of consciousness. But the idea that in that vibrational quality, we actually get to learn a lot from the planets and are in detriment, just as the lines that are in detriment. And so they're
Absolutely.
really, in my experience, they've been the most important part of the chart.
For me, for sure.
But it can mean that they can be a little weighted down, if
Mm-hmm.
that's a way to say it. It's
Yeah.
kind of like they're having to carry a backpack to fully express themselves.
Right. Right.
And it can take a little more time, maturity, and growth and development to really hone that detriment, but that leads to such depth and growth.
Gosh.
So.
You just described so beautifully the personality Earth and Sun like combination.
Mhm.
Mine just happened to be Taurus and Scorpio.
Mhm.
So Scorpio is my Earth. It's like the backpack that I wear that holds me down, holds that Taurian
Mhm.
nature down into the ground. What you just described is, I think, the polarity between someone who does have their Sun in Taurus,
Mhm.
they'll have
Mhm.
their Earth in Scorpio. And so that was just such a beautiful way to maybe everybody can use that to keynote their Earth in some kind of
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah. Understanding the polarities from an astrological, mythological
Yeah.
standpoint is very empowering.
Hmm.
It just adds a great deal of layers and
Right.
depths to our understanding. That's what it's done for me. And so,
Right.
yeah, polarity is always not only from gate polarities of gates, but the signs as well.
Hmm.
And that's how we again arrive at the Venus in detriment in Scorpio, and then also because she rules Libra, she's in detriment in Aries.
Okay. Yeah.
And
That makes
same
sense.
idea there. We were just talking about why she rules Libra and that idea of harmony and beauty and aesthetics. And Aries, and it's also about relationship, of course, when we think
Hmm.
Libra. So she loves that balance and harmony within a relationship. But in Aries, it's about individual self-expression, and it's very fiery.
Yeah.
It's cardinal fire,
Hmm.
so ruled by Mars. And so there again, it's a little hot for Venus, but pretty cool too.
I
So
mean, yeah.
it just means again that those whatever difficult vibrational qualities we might say can be more easily expressed,
Yeah.
right? There's not that balance of the Libra on the other side. And so again, it's a polarity, sort of an opposition tug of war,
Right.
where being in the middle, you're getting the best of both sides. But it
Hmm.
can easily, the seesaw can easily tip the other way
Yeah.
in this polarity because Aries is so quick and so
Hmm.
fiery and can be so impetuous in that sense.
Right.
It can be out of balance.
And it can send Libra from, saying, okay, we'll have the middle ground of turf and real grass to no, we're having rocks and that's the end of it.
Right, right, right. She can take her ball and go home if
She
you.
can, yeah. Um, I want to apologize for the spelling errors, and I'm just calling it what it is because I know some of you've noticed. So we're just gonna keep
Yeah.
moving.
Exaltation,
Yeah, with
Pisces.
Pisces.
Exaltation is essentially like we're not at home, but we're at a dear friend or relative's house, and they
Mhm,
treat us with honor and respect.
mhm,
So it's certainly nice to be in that environment, although you're not at home. You're not quite as relaxed. You're not in your PJs, but
right.
you're elevated.
Mhm,
And so there again, it just has a tendency to be a little stronger, exhibit some of the more finer qualities.
yeah.
Refinement is a piece of
Mhm,
exaltation. We'd say Pisces. So Pisces is mutable water. It's the
mhm,
last sign of the wheel and speaks ruled by Neptune, speaks to the limitless. Pisces is absolutely the like the unlimited nature of the ocean. It
right.
just goes all the way around the world. There is no
Mhm,
end.
mhm.
There is no end because one ending is another beginning. So with Venus, she likes that water. It's
Yeah.
imagination and creativity and also beauty.
And according to the mythology, it's where she's come from. It's where
Mhm,
she was born
mhm,
from. So it
mhm,
must feel like home. That's the exaltation.
mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
And then in Virgo, which is where I have my Virgo, my
Hmm.
Venus actually, it's in fall.
Hmm.
And again, fall meaning a little constricted in that sense. Well, particularly in this example, fall in general just is kind of the opposite of exaltation. And obviously that it's sort of a little more difficult in a sense. It's
Hmm.
not as easily expressed its most refined
Hmm.
qualities. So again, a place where we may work at it a little more. And that works really good with the Venus and Virgo, that idea, because Virgo is so analytical.
Right.
It's the sixth house of mastery. So it
Hmm.
talks about habits and routines and our health and all of these things, because once we leave the sixth house, we go into the seventh house of Libra and the relationship. So it's the highest potential of the individual. And
Mm.
that requires a lot of focused organization and detail. And again, that can be a little constricting for Venus.
Yeah.
Sounds like a little bit of work when I'm thinking of Venus. Venus likes the fluffy cushions and her chocolate or something.
Absolutely. So she's going to have to bring her fluffy cushions to school.
That's right.
But what I've noticed, just as a side note of you doing this for the last couple weeks, is that you're telling the story about balance in all four directions for all of us in each of our places. It's like taking us from fourth dimension to fifth dimension consciousness, like from seeing it from a this and a that to seeing it from a bigger picture and seeing that it's not this or that, it's just a little bit of everything. And so inviting each of us to like see where we fall in all of it. And so that's how I'm putting it together. And I just wanted
Mhm.
to recognize that.
Yeah, yeah, excellent. I think that was all the slides we were looking at. Should we look at charts? I just love that image on the right, though, showing the
The orbit.
yeah, and we can see whenever it's oops, where's the pause button?
Maybe if we did this. Nope.
All right, it's not letting us do it.
Oh,
Okay, that's okay. Well, let's so one more thing. Actually, we had one other thing we wanted to show.
yeah.
Um, this can be really fun too, as you if you like the idea of digging into these planets, is to take a look at the Ravi Ching again, as we have here. And we have just simply pulled out all of this is actually from my teacher, Jenno Oblivion's slide presentation. He has shared this with me with permission, but he did a beautiful job of just pulling out all of the exaltations of Venus
Mm-hmm.
and seeing the gates they're in. And boy, can this really give you that vibrational frequency feature of a planet. Um, 44 exaltations out of 384.
They're beautiful. Just
Do you
when
want to
you,
read through? Is there anything that stands out that you'd like to talk about?
well, I think that was just one thing quickly that caught my eye was the balance between Libra and Taurus in this sensitivity to interrelationships and the pursuit of harmony and inner meaning and to heal and be healed, but the aesthetic sensitivity to that. Whereas I don't know that I mean, that's still Libra's aim as well, and maybe from a different direction and maybe not about aesthetic sensitivity,
Well, it
but
is.
maybe,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I mean, and I would say that because the sensitivity is the sensitivity within the relationship,
right.
for sure.
It just seemed like a keynote or a sentence that could match and that could, be both a Taurian and a Libran
Well, that's true.
thing.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
definitely you can feel the crossover in that sense
Mhm. Mhm.
from the power of Venus. Yeah.
Yeah, the gift of penetrating the inner meaning. When I first learned about my Taurian nature and I read that sentence, I said, that's exactly it. People come to my couch and they will tell me whatever it is I want to know. They're so comfortable and fed and warm. And I just get to the truth of whatever it is that needs to come up at the surface. And that's a real Taurian thing, I think.
Absolutely. Let's see if there was one more.
There is the detriments.
Yeah, 38.
Embarrassing situations. Yeah. Feelings of, mm,
Decadence, obsession with refinement, harmony that degenerates, dissatisfaction. Yeah, she can get a little angry.
mhm, mhm.
No question about it. Anything jumping out for anyone they want to share? Or
Yeah, what do you guys feel about Venus in your life, in your chart, in the sky, in your body?
want to look at some charts?
Yeah, let's do it. Who wants their charts looked at? Pocket says yes. So does Christine says yes. We got head shaking going on.
Pockets, have you looked into what is there anything you'd like to share with us about Venus, or have you put any
Of course, that'd
particular?
be the
In fact, that's where we've had Mercury and Mars have been traveling through Gate 38 this week.
Mm.
Yeah.
I have it's a little bit of a hard one for me.
Mhm.
I get really caught up in the verbiage of
Mhm.
38.5, and so I value alienation, I, but that doesn't feel right. Um, so I just kind of like have settled into, um, I value fighting for things that I like care about or believe in.
Yeah,
Um,
to me, I feel the word passion.
yeah, but sometimes I feel like it can come out as, um, arguing with loved ones.
Oh, I didn't quite understand. It could come out too harsh, you said?
Well, like arguing with loved ones,
Uh-huh.
like if you're not gonna fight with me, then do we really have business with each other? Like I only want to fight with people I care about.
Hmm. Yeah.
Otherwise it's not worth my time. Like I just whatever. But that rubs people the wrong way sometimes.
Does it bother you?
I'm making my peace with it. It's definitely bothered me in the past and like why am I so hurt that this person won't fight with me? Sitting with that a
Mhm.
little bit.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's I mean,
It's
I
such a
do value a good fight, so
Well, and it's such a personal expression being an individual gate, right? It
Mhm,
can be hard for anyone else to understand what that is except for you. I mean, I think we meet our fractal and our people, and hopefully they support us and what means a
mhm,
lot to each of us. But certainly, I think that 38 meaning for yourself and Venus would be so, again, so individualistic, so
For sure.
individually purposed. Yeah.
Mhm. And in 38, it's the journey, the evolutionary journey from struggle to
mhm,
honor through perseverance.
Mhm.
So
mhm,
from what is the proper struggle? Because I do have pressure to struggle with everyone, but you don't have
mhm,
28, so you don't know who to struggle with.
mhm,
So I'm going to struggle with everybody. But what this lesson feels like for me, and this may not be true for you, you try it on and see, but with the open root may feel like this is a lesson here for you to learn to be true to what is purposeful for you to fight, to persevere through. What struggle is purposeful in relationships? Where are you struggling in relationships and it's not purposeful? Where are you doing it with vengeance? With um, just to fight the fight. Where's honor? Where does honor live in your struggles? And how can you persevere to that point with those people? Because those are the relationships that are purposeful, is the ones that will persevere through that with you. And
mhm,
understand that that pressure in your root is not about you. This isn't who you are necessarily, this energy. This is just an expression of evolutionary trait that is moving through you.
mhm, mhm, mhm. Beautiful.
I would say in
Thank you.
Venus with 38.
And I feel it's so connected to the 60 as well.
Mhm.
Right. So the South Node, but the idea of limitation and working through that limitation feels like what that 38 is so involved with as you're moving from the South Node to the past. But definitely that acceptance and overcoming and transmuting the limitation, I feel like would contribute to the pressure of the 38 fighting
Mm,
for what has meaning.
Absolutely.
mhm,
Because sometimes I'm like, I think I heard you say, sometimes I'm like that and sometimes I'm not.
mhm,
Well, there's 60, bringing in
mhm.
that pressure to be like that sometimes and to move to be an acceptance of the limitation of who and what you can fight with and about.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, that one's hard.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Well, and it leads to intoxicating stories, right? To the North Node, this lesson, this ability to anchor this
Mhm,
acceptance to the limitation of being able to fight the good fight, not with everybody, will lead to the ability to have this stimulating story that you
mm,
can then 4-6
mhm.
about.
I like that.
Well,
I
I
like
would hope,
the
you
story
know,
more. That makes a lot of sense.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. Mm,
And you'll be having a Pluto transit there this coming year.
Mm,
mhm,
Pluto's in gate 60. It's still in the lower trigram, but it will be moving pretty soon. Certainly applying, we would say right now, but we'll cross that 60 line 6. So
mhm,
Pluto is so transformative that um, I look at it when I see it touching someone's nodes like that is really beautiful. this is only going to happen once in a lifetime. Not everyone even gets someone to has this transit. When we think about Pluto, which we haven't gotten to in this series, but it takes 248 years for Pluto to go around the sun. So we only experience a few Pluto aspects from an astrological term, whether we're talking conjunction, opposition, square, sextile, all that. We only experience, about a third of the wheel from Pluto. Right. And so we only get one or two soft, we call them supportive feeling, harmonious aspects, and we get a couple of challenging aspects. But that because we only get so few of it, it's such a cultural planet because it moves so slow. It affects us on generational levels because it moves so slow. But individually, it affects us at very deep psychological levels. And it's really that ultimate transformation of soul. To me, that's the word. I mean, it is about pure soul, and it's here to help us make sure we are reminded of that. And so to have it on the South Node, which, when I think about that, it's that we have 4 nodal points and they create that axis. And so when Pluto's touching one of them, it's touching all of them. So it's really imbuing all of your nodal points in some sort of mutative quality right now. So a really supportive time to really go inward, to be really accepting of the whatever is inside right now is there talking to you. The body speaks to us at all times. Sometimes we don't listen, but it's really there, I think, in this aspect when it's on the node, so important about our life purpose and direction, that these are really potent times to listen to that. And that'll be just off the cuff this coming year for sure. And hopefully if there's anything you're searching for in that sense that resonates with that archetypal story of your life's path, there is fertile soil for you to dig in right now and listen and see, whatever happens with Pluto is he always offers this idea that whatever's no longer serving us, it's time to let it go so that something new can grow. He really resonates with gate 60, which is so much about the channel of mutation. So I really feel like he has a very strong vibrational resonance with the channel itself and the gate itself. So yeah, I hope you hear that as a supportive way, because it's a deeply inside aspect that will be happening. It's not life experiences may push us inward, but really the question it's asking is, can you go in and hear what I'm saying about this is what it's all about for you? Because that's really what Pluto wants to share with us.
That's right.
Awesome. I've definitely felt that, like, there's change happening. But looking in at it, I think is good advice for me.
Yeah, good, because I relate to what you're saying. I mean, that we are such reactive human beings, and so it's so normal for us to move exterior when we really are being given signs to move inward. And Pluto really highlights this transit, right? It's really about all of the outside of life is an inside job, and Pluto is really here to shine the light on that. And but mutative, and I think that's where it takes that the idea of an individual circuitry, which is it's acoustic, it's inner body. It's like can't really read it in a book. It's about what are you doing creatively, and so through your own creative contemplation, that cryptic message can emerge.
I like that.
We got off on a sidetrack with transits, but I couldn't help but noticing that Pluto was right there. But Venus in 38.
So I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. And then the design Venus being in gate 18, line 1. Logic, correction, splenic, and ancient instinctual awareness.
I just got the visual of a rudder behind a boat. And it's like this, who do I fight with? What is purposeful to persevere through? What relationships, what places, what spaces are purposeful for me to persevere through and within? And as Richard was talking about the body, the body, I feel like the rudder, it's that little thing inside that's like, hey, this way, this way, this way, that way. And it's based on this opinion, this pressure, or this intuitive knowing of what needs to be corrected. And that's what's purposeful to persevere through the fight. What that intuitive key, it feels like that's the key to listen to that you were talking about.
Yeah, I like how you tied the two, the 38 and the 18 together. And also 18 is in Libra. So again, Venus is in her home sign in gate 18.
Mm. Mm.
Right. And the line that it's in the channel of judgment, and
Mhm.
judgment requires balance to be
Mhm.
fair, which is a
Sure.
very Libran quality.
Yeah.
And so that, really brings the strength to Venus's quality in gate 18.
Absolutely. And in the Venus sequence and the gene keys, this placement in your chart is what's called the soul's quotient. And on the design side, and on the personality side, it's what's called the IQ. And so
Mm.
these two play a really important part of, in the Venus sequence and the gene keys, he takes these certain keys and shows you how they relate to certain aspects of your life, which then related to how you closed down your heart. And now traveling
Mm.
that path allows you to reopen your heart if that's a path that is for you. And so two of these, to this 38 and 18 speak to your 18 being your soul's quotient, the very inner part of your design, the bottom of the spiral, if you will.
Mhm.
And for you, it is what I imagine on the red side is it's the being that it's your unconscious, being that it's your inheritance, your genetic inheritance. This is
Mhm.
something that your bloodline's been working on for a while. The intuitive who, the intuitive where does joy and bliss live, and how do we correct for that, and who do we correct for that? And so your role in this, ancestral story is, with this open root and these two center or these two activations on them here to learn something from is how to accept the limitation of wanting to fight everyone but be having to rely on that small intuitive the voice that says nope, not him, or nope, not that.
Mhm.
That sounds like kind of part of the
Yeah,
story.
yeah, for sure. And the 18-1 being security, and feeling a sense
Yeah.
of security from the harmonious correction.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So then security comes, and that's the soul's quotient. That's what the soul's looking for, is that security. And the IQ is the protection of that security. So it's that perseverance, but
Mhm.
knowing who.
Mhm. You make it very easy to fall in love with myself.
Yay.
Yay, totally.
Because we all do too.
Thank you.
And then the last little step, and then we'll offer the opportunity for other charts too, but just important to tie all that back to the sun earth, or to the whole incarnation cross
Mm,
for that matter.
Mm.
And so again, that's maybe a step you can work with as we were just talking about, that for your own contemplations, how that story relates to the 14, 18, 29, 30.
mhm.
And you can feel again this individual, your channel of inspiration can be so supported by this harmonious correction of feeling empowered by what has meaning for sure. The
Mhm.
trick, again, it's interesting, we didn't obviously say this because we all know this, but I mean, we were talking about dormant gates on an undefined center, so it really raises the stakes of the
Yeah,
story in
yeah.
that sense, to follow the authority, right? So it's through
Mhm.
your archetype as a generating power force, being grounded in that, really just taking care of your own living system every day, and following that intuition will open up your wisdom to know what there is to know about this limitation.
Right. And will lead you into the places and spaces and relationships that will allow you to practice listening to that 18 within the 60 to know when to 38.
Mhm.
And that's the lesson, that's the evolution, but that's not the boss. The boss is what he said, that 3457. That's the boss. That'll
Mhm.
take you into all of the places and spaces where your evolution lives,
Mhm.
where space to practice being your incarnation cross within experiences where your pressure centers are adrenalized.
Mm. 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 Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pockets. Good to see you.
You too.
Yay. Thanks for being here even today. Today was a big day for you.
Yeah.
Well, Perfect cherry on top.
Good, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who else? Who else said they wanted to go?
I think Christine was nodding.
Okay.
Yes, please. I've been contemplating. Oh, wait, Monique, let's read what, would you mind?
Yeah, please read
Okay.
it.
We go up a little bit. As a manager, I personally am no stranger to random spelling mistakes. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for your grace. Yes, please. I have been contemplating my Venus lately, thinking about my personal values and what is important to me. That was Monique. So we'll do maybe Christine and then Monique.
Okay, we'll do two. Christine, have I put your chart in here before? I'm not sure if I have you
I think you have it on text.
on.
What's your last name?
Pita, P-I-T-A, like the bread or pain in the ass.
Hey, let's just do it real quick because I don't have it. So it's no problem. Just takes a second. This toolbar will go away. Oh, I got to do a new chart. Here we go. Okay, fire away.
So April 8th, 1980. Time is 12:52 p.m. And that's in Detroit, Michigan. That looks like me.
Cool. Okay. Venus in 20 line 5, design in 30 line 1. And you as well, Christine, have you looked into this yet? Please share what are any contemplations you may have at this point.
Not really. And I'd love to hear what you have to say. And then my nodes are also 29 and 30. Both of them.
Right.
And I have Ra's incarnation cross.
What does any of that mean to you?
I don't know.
Take a guess. And again, you don't have to be right. Because there's no such thing.
Right? What it's presence and now and intensity and passion and the fates and fear of missing out and wanting love that you can't have, having love that you don't want, like it's all the things. Not love that you don't want, but always wondering if the next thing or the next thing or the next thing or the next thing. And but that's also open G. And so yes.
Yeah, certainly that's what I was hearing there would be open G archetypal descriptions of that sensation. So I think it's important let's think about that nuance. I mean, we're talking about Venus, we're talking more of romantic love, I would say, is generally what we're referring to. The pleasure being personal pleasure, but the harmony being within relationship. So to me, that's different than G center.
Absolutely.
Love. So I think it's important that we, really set our terminology so that we're talking about the same thing.
Right. G center love is about direction of my love of myself in the direction in which I'm going. And it's about me. This Venus placement is about the other and my story with the other and how I show up in relationship with the other, how my mind protects itself with the other, what my ooey gooey core is with the other. I think that's what Venus may be on these different from G center.
Yeah, I totally think so. I'm just noticing how difficult this can be to parcel out being in integration circuitry,
right?
And gate 21 being, I am now, I am me. So that,
right.
In that sense, that is.
And it's my only conscious channel.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that what I saw in my head is there's a repressive and reactive natures in human design or in gene keys, and it talks about hectic, and what I saw is hectic And
Mm.
so when I played this hectic with 20 in the 5th line in your Venus in conscious, and then 30 in the 1st line, it could be this, desire for emotional experience. And what is my emotional experience? But 20 being so frantic and hectic, I heard you kind of say that. I want you, but do I want you? But do I want you now? But did I want you later? But maybe I want you tomorrow and I'm just not sure. Do I want you? Do I really, really want you? So it could be this energy, this like frenetic and really hectic kind of energy with your desires. What do I desire? Is it now? Is it this? Is it that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's Venus in Gemini, right? So we're thinking 20 line 5 is Gemini. 20 is where it actually changes from Taurus to Gemini, but by line 5, it's in Gemini. And when we think of Gemini being mutable air, and it is like that,
Yeah.
it can go back and forth because it can do so many things at once.
Mhm.
That's
And being that it's at the beginning of the sign, I'm learning this, so I'm going to test my knowledge here. Being that it's the very beginning degrees of the sign, isn't it like the most potent or the most immature or
it's the beginning part of the story.
yeah,
Yeah, you would
the
say.
most hectic, if you
Mhm,
will.
mhm, mhm.
So it's your purpose is to find your self-assurance. So gate 20 is from superficiality to presence through self-assurance.
Right.
So we can see how we're being hectic. And do I want this? Do I want that? I'm being superficial. I'm not really allowing anyone to really see me because I'm not allowing myself to sit with my desires, with my beloveds in any sort of way. So the key to this presence, being present with yourself, your desires, and your beloveds, is self-assurance. Is to, I'm not saying not follow your emotional authority into the places and spaces that you're clear that are proper for you to be in. But what I am saying is watch for your desire to be present. And when that desire is there, the key is self-assurance. Put your head up and your shoulders back and find the place that feels good for you to be within your desires with your beloved. And let them know maybe that you're going to be a little hectic. It might be a little all over the place, but give me 20 minutes.
And to
I
be
think my
clear,
beloveds already know that.
good, that's good. Good communication. It's how we help others help us, right? But the Earth in 57, bringing that grounding element in the channel with
And
Venus
Pluto.
and Pluto in 57, right? Okay.
And 57.5 is this acuteness, this ability to be able to, I don't know if acuteness is 3 or 5, but it's the ability to have this like corrected, perfected use of intuition. So what a beautiful ground when you're grounded, like Richard said, in your intuition, that hectic freneticness.
I can ground that air, right?
Mhm.
Very cool.
What else?
Mm.
There's a
Yeah.
lot there.
Um,
I mean, it's as soon as I want to say something else, I can't help but talk about the undefined G, right? I mean,
right.
to me, the way this Venus really gets expressed, because it is such an interesting nuance that we've stumbled upon about love and direction, higher self-love, but yet the love and desire of Venus. And of course, you have gate desire. You have multiplicities here that are all sort of in this which is it kind of thing, right? And I really just feel like that deep self-respect and self-love is where it all starts, right? Really appreciating the gift you offer to others by your presence of your open G, by obviously not getting lost in that. And that's a real tightrope to stay grounded in your emotional authority and really be present to your own desires that you have, but also your emotional needs that you have, and how to exist with others and maintain that balance where your presence is helping shine our G's back onto us. I mean, I always feel like open G's carry around one of the most powerful gifts a human can give another, but you don't even know that you have it. It's like you have gold in your pocket that people feel by being next to you, but yet that can be disabling if you get lost in what that is, right? And so that deep sense of self-respect is really where it starts, to be grounded in that self-love so that you can be firmly planted in obviously your authority first, but also that earth in 57, that intuitive grounding, feet in the dirt kind of thing. Really bringing yourself back there every day is going to help differentiate so that we can have healthy desires of gate 30, supportive desires of the Venus, and being present in the now, right? And being in the moment while still standing there and sharing this beautiful receptivity of an open G and reflecting that back to other people so that they can get their own G center report card of how they're doing.
Right.
It's a
That
very, very powerful gift your aura offers others.
that was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful.
Mm.
If there's nothing to add. If I could put a little bit of something on the side, what I would put is that it's about you showing up, following your, like Richard said, body's energy to connect with your emotional clarity into the places and spaces that are proper for you. And when you do that, it will be about you showing up as love, and then reflecting the love that exists in the space from the people who exist there. But you will be the framework to hold their identities. You will be the mirror, the clear and assured mirror. And yeah, so what is it? I think the way that you distinguish between, is it the open G center or the rest of it? Is this for me, or is this for you to love me? Is this because I love me, or is this because I want you to love me?
I like that.
Yeah.
I don't need you to love me because I love me.
Well, we can't hang our hats there, sis.
No. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Christine. All right, let's grab Monique, I think was next. I believe I have her chart. Hi, Monique. How you doing today?
Hi guys, I'm good. How are you beautiful humans doing?
We're doing awesome.
So good.
My video is acting a little weird, so I'm just gonna leave it off, but I'm
Okay.
here and I'm
No
paying
problem.
attention.
No problem. We can see your vessel of love there in the chart.
Mhm.
Venus in gate 44, line 4,
Oh man, oh man.
Mhm.
and 62, line 1.
44 line 4 is for me just as mystical as 54 line 4. It feels like the ability to be the grid worker for a fractal of humans that are learning to find themselves. And as a projector, a 1-4 projector with 44 in the 4th line as your Venus, it is like you are the magnet, the beacon for your fractal to come and listen.
Venus in Scorpio. That's intense.
Yes.
This is like real deal.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, I mean, do you want to share anything with us?
Yeah,
about
sorry. Yeah, I just jumped right in.
No, I love the intensity you both got on your faces when you saw. That's fantastic. That's how it feels a lot of the time. Well, I don't know. I've been contemplating. Okay. I didn't think I was a person that really focused on like little details and like things like this. And I'm starting to really see how how often I go, first of all, to the past, to something that like has already happened and how it happened, and like make that this is how it'll go again type of thing, story in my head. And then when I saw that these placements were there, I was like, oh, well, maybe that's part of kind of just how I am, what is important to me. And yeah, so I don't know, it's just I've been just contemplating Venus and Jupiter for whatever reason, and looking at those things in my nodes a lot, I guess, because of the node shift that's going on. But yeah, that's really it. I don't have too much to share. I would love to hear what you all have to share and what you see there.
Okay. So I think it's important to always think about the sign that these gates are in, right? And so gate 44 is Scorpio. And so Scorpio is that fixed water. It's got the Mars and Pluto energy. incredibly intense sign, and so needed. We need that Scorpio energy to help show us what no one else is looking at. Scorpio's like, y'all don't see that? Like, do you not know what's going on here? I'll tell you what, like Scorpio is just so real and can see into the dark and bring up hidden truths that we need to understand. And that makes a lot of sense when we think about the gate of alertness. It's like that ancient instinctual recognition of alertness of what does the tribe need to do? What do we got to do? And so this Venus being there, bringing that desirous, wanting it, things we want so deeply, and feeling that intensity of what does the tribe need? How are we going to do that? And you're bringing the whole channel of the transmitter, but it brings this really acute intensity to the transmission. Like, we can't miss a damn detail here. We got the 26th. This is how it happened back there. This is the memory. This is what's going to make us healthier. And so that expression of it, having the Venus and Scorpio part, that expression of it, that's where that a beautiful intensity can come from. Because even when Venus is what we might say a little kind of over the speed limit in Scorpio, it can do, maybe one way to say it, like it can get a little too intense with Venus sometimes. We need that, right? Because we need to see that end of the spectrum, right? We need to see what that looks like so that we can refine that, and so that transmission can come across with the Venusian quality of, hey, this is going to promote health and harmony and improvement for our tribe, our people.
Absolutely. I think you just spoke beautifully to the spectrum and the gene keys between interference and teamwork. Between, well, in your case with 62 there, when you're not impeccable with your word, when you're using your intellect in a way that, is not true to your strategy and authority, you create interference in that, with that intensity. When you're over the speed limit, it attracts the attention. When you are impeccable with your word, when you are with your intelligence, you are using this, what you know, according to the strategy and of your biology, you're speaking the truth of your intellect, you will then bring the people together to know what they must know. But that's the intensity of Scorpio in the spectrum of the whole thing, is from interference to synarchy, to we're in the orchestra together singularly. And so that takes intensity and love, the intensity of Scorpio and the love and groundedness of Taurus.
Yeah. Yeah. And also back to the 62, you're also speaking about, that's in Cancer. And so with Venus in Cancer, we're thinking about the home, the family, the heart, the moon reflective quality, like our inner world. So having that stability of the nurturing and the caring for yourself first and those around you is going to be really important to the expression of those details, as well as the transmission will surely be coming from the channel of the transmitter.
Yeah, the people who will hear those details, either you'll cause interference or synarchy in your relationships. So since we're talking about relating with other human beings, in that Venus placement, there is a detail to be expressed as part of your purpose in this form, and it will be expressed to the right people through your personalities, 44 in the fourth line, in that intense way.
Yeah, that sounds all very accurate, and like something I could sit with, and yeah. It like I said, it feels like that a lot. It feels like that, and I like the words that you chose, Brandy, about speaking impeccable or not. I can see that, and I do feel like that's an area that is probably something that I kind of get in my own head about, because my throat is subconsciously connected with the 1156. So when I talk, it just feels like I don't know what's going to come out, right? And sometimes I can get in my head about that. And so I just can see what you said playing into that a little bit.
And so just even as mundane, if we want to say, look, you're just doing this anyway, this is your podcast. Your
Mhm,
44,
mhm.
62 and Venus is on both sides, is what you do, not just the podcast and what you share, but also your back end work with it, the things that you do to it, the detail, the impeccability that you bring to the questions, to the marketing, to the dates and times, to the, to the whole thing. And then who it goes out to is the 44. So, we can look at it at this mystical level and this very mundane, oh, this is my podcast, and everything in between. So make sure to spend 10% on that shadow that I see you racking your brain with right now. And the rest of the 90% on the gift, the highest
Thank-
expression of who you be.
Thanks, girl. Thanks for seeing me. I appreciate that a lot. I appreciate your guys' reflection so much. It's so the amount of knowledge you have. When you were starting to speak, Richard, too, I remember now getting an astrology reading. Like it came back to me, and the first thing they said was like, "Oh, your Venus is in Scorpio. That's like a very intense kind of you're an intense, like you're loving or you're not, like love,
Yeah.
like I mean, you better be loving me back if I'm
Yeah.
loving you, kind of thing, um, type of vibe. That was coming back to me as you were saying. So I didn't remember that looking at the chart myself. So thank you.
Absolutely. And also
Yeah.
same thing as I was just saying to pockets, that you have Pluto conjunct your nodal axis as well.
I do.
Right. So
Oh.
again, I think that awareness right now can be really supportive, just to keep that in the back of your mind. Like there's a signpost right now on your nodal trajectory, and you want to find out what it says, right? Like Pluto is there. In fact, it's been right on gate 60 line 4, the line of resourcefulness, right? That turning the limitation through the process of accepting the limitation turns it into the application of the growth and development. And so with Pluto there, thinking about it the way that it works, that it really offers experiences that will stimulate us to examine how we're doing that. Pluto's like, okay, are you doing it or not? And if you're not, let me give you some more incentive.
Right. Yeah. Totally see that happening. I can feel kind of like how Pocket said, I can feel the transformation thing right around there. I can feel
Yeah.
the energy of the things buzzing in a way that's different. That feels different.
Yeah, and because Pluto, is the lord of the underworld, it can feel and some quality of instability, maybe. Sometimes things that seem normal or they've been that way for so long, it's all of a sudden there can be something at the earth level, so some sort of like seismic rumbling, but to have the awareness that, oh yeah, see, this is right on time. Like this, the moment you were born, Pluto is going to be in gate 60 line 4 on your south node and opposite the north node right now. And so that awareness can really just open you up to your authority even deeper, to that gate 44, right? To what am I being alert to right now, to give my highest, whatever your highest sense of idea and expression of transmitting is. Pluto really wants to show you another layer of that truth. There's something under something else still there, that your life path from the experiences, possibly something that's happened in the past, could contribute to this enhanced foundation that Pluto tries to get us to build in that sense. Yeah, just again, to kind of see if that resonates, or if there's anything that you see happening, realize that whatever it is, it's there to support this foundational transformation of the direction, the path you need to be on to be this vessel of love in its highest sense itself, with the perfected form giving this ultimate transmission. There's pieces to the puzzle that can come to the surface right now.
I love that. That sounds so exciting, and I feel that.
Awesome.
Yay.
Anything else?
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Nancy, and I think I have Nancy's chart. Nancy, I don't have you in my program as well, I don't think. Can I get your birth time real quick? You can put it in the chat or talk to us, however it's easier.
Sure, sure. Absolutely. Yeah, so it's 7th of February, 1985.
7th of February, 19, was it
85.
85? Okay.
85. Yeah. Yeah, time 1335. Yeah, country China.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I knew that. There we go. And where?
Yeah. And Wenzhou, Wen, and Zhou, Zhou.
JH. Huh. Is it there?
Oh, it's not so yeah, that one, the one you just clicked. Underneath that, underneath the mouse.
Mhm.
Yeah,
This-
this one. Yeah, that's
Oh,
correct.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Did we get it right there? Oh, you typed it. Thank you. I didn't I
Yeah,
just now saw
that's
that.
correct.
Cool.
Yeah, that's correct.
A fellow 6'2". I'm a 6'2" as well.
Me too. With 7 and 13 in my incarnation cross.
That's right. Venus and gate 17 line 1 and design and 10 line 1.
Mm.
So Venus gate 17 is in Aries to start with.
What comes alive in you when you think about Venus and gate 17?
Yeah, for me, when I read the keynotes of 17, especially it's the sign of the detriment, something to do with opinions, with
Mhm.
logics, with subjectivity or narrow-mindedness, which often confuse me. And for both of them, because it's first line, I can really see how it play out in my life is there is this second line natural knower side of me, which I don't really do investigation. But then there is the mind has this tendency to try to control and see things in a much more logical ways and wanted to have more foundation to back it up. Yeah.
Mhm.
And also I can see this is a question maybe I have been pondering on is, am I really opinionated or am I not? It's kind of confusion. The reason is my mind, I don't perceive myself as, but then there are time to time I can see there is a mental dislike of behavior, like the first line of the gate 10, like can be really cautious of perfectionism of behavior. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I appreciate you sharing all that. And I like for all of us to remember when I think of, or for me, this is how I approach detriments, because I really place such high regard on them. I really, in all of my situation, I've always believed that those detriments have been the most valuable pieces of my chart outside of type, strategy, and authority. They're really important. And to remember that they're there for the collective in that sense. Both lines that only have exaltations, or whether it's fixed in an exaltation or fixed in a detriment in the sense of the chart, that they're there for the collective. In other words, the spectrum of frequency that we need to live out needs to all be tried out, right? And the idea of the even the exaltations, but more specifically detriments, is that there's a refinement there, that this is something that's our opportunity to get to work with that. So with Venus there and all that we've said about Venus in this line 1, we're already thinking about the foundation of logical opinions, finding security within acceptance of what's logical and what's not. Now, the reason Venus gets the detriment there is because it's so oriented towards things that are harmonious and pleasure oriented. As it says in the Ravi Ching, it can be easily not have an opinion if it's not pleasing. It's like, well, I don't find that to be pleasing, so I'm just not even going to talk about it, even though you have a defined ajna with an activated gate 17, and you're here to understand the foundational quality and security of good, logical, really quality opinions. It may be easy to step away and not to say I don't have an opinion because I don't like the way it looks. It says I don't find it pleasing, right? It's like Venus. I want it to feel really good, but yet that's where sometimes Venus has to stand pat there in that sense and be like, oh no, I still am going to offer my opinion in that sense, right? Through strategy and authority, through responding, right, and all that. But I think that's why Venus, again, Venus in Aries is also in detriment in that sense. So standing up for your own opinions doesn't always feel easy. But based on your authority and your sacral response, there'll be times when it's really important that you actually do speak up in that sense. And that can lead to the higher resonance and vibrational quality of Venus. At the onset, it may feel conflictive. Venus doesn't like conflict, but through strategy and correct response, you may actually find it better to stand up in that uncomfortable situation, which can allow that harmony to come. It's like when we work through the challenges of a planet, we can also experience the lessons that they're each bringing us. So facing non-pleasing confrontation and offering an opinion can actually lead to the serenity that Venus brings in terms of that I feel harmonious within myself because I stood up for a challenge that at first I really didn't want to engage in. Does that resonate at all?
Which is 10-1. Oh, that was brilliant and beautiful and poignant, which he led right to 10-1. I've got things to say too, but I'd love to hear what Nancy's feedback was with that.
Oh, yes, Richard, thank you so much. That makes so much more sense, but without the logics to me. So what you said is often I found myself, I just cannot hear the logics when even it just sounds perfectly logical, but I cannot receive it. My body doesn't absorb it. Whereas the tendency is to, feel about it. Like I feel about logic, but I cannot hear. Or yeah, that's exactly what you said. Thank you.
You want to talk
Yeah,
about 10?
I would love to talk about, well, I'd love to talk about 17 a little bit. And what I heard from you is that beautiful ebb and flow in the spectrum of 17, from opinions to this omniscience, right? This biggest viewpoint that takes no opinions, like Richard was talking about. And you are designed in this Venus placement to be the person who collectively stays or has experiences in one side of that, the building the foundation of what are opinions and what is not having an opinion. So of course you would move in the binary from both sides. And the key is the farsightedness. The key is which opinion to pull out. That is, and it would be individual, and it wouldn't be anybody else's opinions because it is for the collective, but you are a 4323 twice, both sides. So it is going to be your opinions, but it's about the farsightedness of which opinions are the ones that come. Is it every opinion about this entire thing, or is it about what you're being asked to bring? In relationships. And because of that, following your sacral energy in your body into the relationships and places that are for you, intuitively knowing which fights to struggle with, what struggle to have, will then bring in that relating the opinion, the farsightedness that gets to lend itself to your individual expression, which leads to that SQ of 10-1, of modesty, of who am I? Well, who are you is the expression, after you've moved through all of that, of your individual truth that leads us into some new tomorrow. They all play together beautifully. I'm a 10-1 and my SQ in that same place as well in Venus. And that being able to, I mean, two completely different expressions of this, but the being of who I be without my mind's constriction on what it must be shows me the 10-1 and brings this humility and this modesty of, oh, I get to be this. I get to be this thing. That feels like the modesty that 10-1 talks about. What comes alive in you when you hear that?
Thank you. Yeah, it feels like I get to be where I'm supposed to be. Yeah. And there is no judgment. It's just pure acceptance. Yeah. And thank you.
Well, that was good.
What do you think?
Who else? Do you want to show yours? And
Sure.
I'll show
Does,
mine.
Liz here? I don't
Oh,
know.
Liz, are you here? Sorry, love. Yay, she is.
Hey,
Hello,
I'm in
hello.
the car with kids. I've just been nonstop driving. But yeah, I would love for you to pull up my chart if you don't mind. I haven't been listening well either, and so there's probably like my Venus is in Scorpio, and there's probably stuff you already talked about that I didn't hear.
What would I have put your name in here under?
Oh, you can just put Liz. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. What's your last name? Is it Felt?
Falp.
Falp.
Phalp.
Oh, here I
Okay,
found it.
got it.
It was here.
We got it.
Awesome.
Oh, 28 and 39.
Right. So yes, Venus in Scorpio
Mhm.
and where's 39? Cancer.
Cancer.
Yes, I'm recalling all of the activations in the spleen now, Liz. That is one activated spleen.
Yeah.
Don't see that every day. And if I scroll over it, you're driving, so you be careful driving.
Yeah.
A lot of 28s here. We've got both Uranus activations, Venus, North Node.
Yeah, so it's really a what's what here.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of the 26 activations are in the spleen. This is quite an awareness center. So with the Venus in 28-1, let's think about that. Well, I don't know if you heard, we did talk about Venus in Scorpio itself, just that it brings this fixed water of the Scorpion. Venus can bring a real strong intensity, particularly in relationships. Like it's passionate, it's possessive, and it's going to require another significant level of commitment on the other person's part.
Yeah.
And they're going to, in that sense, need to earn it, but you're going to give it. It's like it's not for nothing. Like it's like it's a beautiful placement in that sense, but it can have, as we were saying earlier, again, I don't know if you heard it, but it is a sign where Venus can get a little overboard with that intensity. It can be a little whatever, could maybe demanding or I don't know, just intense in that sense.
It just needs its way, I guess. It gets to have its way.
Yeah, and it's going to offer a lot of deep plutonic Mars energy love. I mean, it is really beautiful and hot and passionate.
And in 28, I think it could be even, it can be passionate and hot.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
it could also be it could be the wrestle match for better or for worse. It could be a wrestle match, in the relationship. It can be a what's purposeful. It can be a purposeless fighting because of fear. So maybe, this is your IQ in the gene keys placement. So if I were playing with this 39 and 28 in that way, what I would say is that you are here to feel liberated. Like the nature of you in relationships is to be liberated and to understand what liberation means within relationship. And so all of the experiences that you are designed to come into by following your beautiful intuitive and sacral awarenesses are going to probably provoke this fighter for purpose, right? This, what are we doing here? I want to be free of it. I want to be myself. I want to be liberated. And so fighting for the purpose of liberation within relationships. What is the purpose of this? I just want to be free. That could look like you running away in fights. Or
That's
staying
so interesting.
Yeah.
Or staying what?
Or staying too long and fighting, fighting until the whole house is burnt down.
That's so interesting. I think I've been blaming a lot of those dynamics on the 18, the channel of judgment, that whole channel actually, because
Mhm.
there's a lot of that. I mean, that's in my incarnation cross, but um a lot of those things you were saying, I was like, oh, I never attributed it. I didn't understand these dynamics well. So that's really interesting.
Well, and there's nothing bad, wrong, or shameful. This is the script of the story
Yeah.
of Liz, right? So Liz is here to move through what is purposeful in relating and what is purposeful for my spirit, what is liberating to me in having a relationship. And kind of seeing the bigger picture of what they are and finding yourself in relationships.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
exactly, and I feel that same vibrational quality, finding yourself within the relationship, within
Mhm.
the logical nature of relationships. So we see a lot of a channel of concentration, determination, the judgment, the gate 48. So there is certainly a refinement to the quality of the relationship,
Mhm.
but to not let that interfere with the passion of what you really want. You
Mhm.
see, Venus brings that
Mhm.
quality to this individual circuitry in the gate 28 that wants to understand and be aware and know. That's an individual, keyword, know what the meaning is, what's the
Mhm.
point. So not
Mhm.
getting too logical. That
Right.
could kind of take the edge off of what really wants to
Yeah.
come out in your Venus, like
Stay in the spirit of it
Yeah.
all, stay in the body of it all, and dip into the mind for a little correction, a little turn here or there, but then back into the passionate, animal body of it all.
Mhm.
Mhm. That's really great reminder.
Mm.
And what?
There's an aspect of the channel of judgment, especially that I've been wondering if it's like maybe it's more about this, but like I feel like I am just constantly wanting to perfect things, and where that's a collective, not a, maybe not a tribal, maybe not meant for my relationship. Like, is that something I need to, like, I don't know, like let that energy go somewhere else, not try to always be like, over correcting in the relationship. But I'm wondering if that's more related to Venus. I haven't thought about it in that way.
Well, I think it's both, Liz, because I'm speaking. I also have the channel of judgment and gate 48,
Mm.
18 a couple of times as well. So to your point about the relationship, I know for myself, it has especially in the past. I mean, this is something I've been aware of too, that it's so easy to be critical of the
Mhm.
illogical nature of relationships sometimes and to want to correct our partner. It just I mean, gate 18 is nicknamed the gate of the bitch, and I can validate that. I've been a bit of a bitch, little whiny poo sometimes. Why
Yeah.
can't we just make it better? Dang it. But you're
Yeah.
exactly right. It is not intended for that. Anytime we hear that gate 18 turn inward to ourself or to our one-on-one relationship, it actually is being misapplied. It is absolutely collective. It is for sharing. It is for the larger sense. And if we hear that negative voice or critical self-talk, we can know right away, little warning light. Uh-oh, it's being misapplied again. Where am I out of alignment? Let me go ground myself, or whatever that means to each of us with this configuration. But yeah, I think there's two parts to it. One, realizing that correction, instead of leaning on the correction, lean on that Venus, which is your planet. It wants what it wants. And so whatever that means to you in terms of fire and passion, and yeah, I feel empowered by this physical side or emotional quality of hot love. This is individual circuitry. So I think by focusing on that alleviates the pressure on the collective channel. And that might help support whatever the story is.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what I heard you say is when the need for correction is there, look inside, and instead of wanting to correct everyone, decide what it is that you want and what your essence is within that correction. What is the truth of you here now?
Yeah, I hear that, like, rather than seeing it as like there's a right way to do things. It's more like, what is my personal desire in it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that.
And that brings in the 39 too, because that's the design Venus.
And
Yeah.
and that's the pressure, that's pressuring 55, which is the emotional expression of your own individual spirit. And this is the pressure to do that. So you are here in relationships as, the core of who you be in relationships is to be the provocator of self for you and others, the keeper of the tension of the no, this isn't who I am. This is who I am.
That's
In your
cool.
relationships with purpose, right? Not just to control everything, but for purpose, your purposes.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Anything else?
No,
I think we could wrap it up.
okay. That
I
feels
think we
good.
went through everyone that was here. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else want to share anything before we go?
Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Our pleasure to be here with you all today.
Thanks for having
Absolutely.
me.
And thank you for joining me. Yeah, that spiced it up with a little Venus love there. And happy full moon to everybody.
Happy full moon.
Be shining bright tonight if you don't have clouds. Have a look-see.
All right, guys. Thank you.
All
See
right.
you later.
Great to see you all. Thanks. Bye for now.